Hi, I'm Olivia O'Brien, and I'm hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
What's up, guys? Rob here, Front Row Live Entertainment. I am finally hanging out here with Olivia O'Brien, and I'm excited to be sitting down with you. New EP just dropped, and I love this kind of evolution of music that you're currently releasing. But I love how much more raw it is this time around. Can we
Thanks.
dive in and talk about like that creative process? And do you feel more comfortable now, just kind of being able to put your feelings out there to your audience?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've always done that in some regard, but I was just a lot younger, and I don't know if my thoughts were as complex. I'm not saying my thoughts are that complex now either. Like, I like to think that I'm a good songwriter, but then I listened to I was listening to a Mitski song before I
Yeah.
walked in here, and I'm just like, every time I listen to people like that, I'm like, damn, I kind of suck. So I think that I'm better than I was when I was 16 or 17, and I'm just better able to articulate my thoughts, and I can get a little bit deeper, and I'm more comfortable with those feelings. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of just been that consistent evolution of growing up that's kind of coincided with my songwriting evolution. So.
Do you pay attention to that kind of stuff though? Like, do you notice like how much you've grown as a songwriter, or even as a vocalist as well during this process?
Yeah, I mean, I'll have moments where I come up with something that I think is really good, and I'm like, damn, I'm good. Or I'll listen back to it. You know, things. It's kind of like you don't notice yourself like growing and changing every moment, but then you'll look in the mirror, you'll reflect on the past and be like, whoa, I'm so different now. So that's kind of how it happens, just the same way as it happens with anything.
Yeah. Now I'm curious, like your relationship with Daywave, like the fact that you've been able to collaborate together for so much music already. So stepping into this EP, do you feel that like because of the connection that the two of you have already, do you feel like that's what made it easier to kind of be more raw on this record?
Yeah, and I also think that it plays a huge part that it was just me and him for like pretty much all of it. So I don't have anyone kind of in my ear telling me what to do or how to sound or anything. He's like one of the chillest people in the world. I told him after we worked together a few times, I was like, I think you might be like too chill of a person. Like I could say anything. He's just like, yeah, cool. Okay. Like what if it's bad? Like you need to tell me if something's bad. And he does contribute obviously too. Like he's really good at melodies, and he's the producer. So he's doing all the musical stuff. So he's amazing and incredible, but he really gives me the space he'll play, we'll start, jamming. He'll do a little guitar part, and I'll just sit there and write on my phone silently in my head. And then I'm like, okay, I have the verse. He's like, cool. And I just put it in, and it's just we just have such a system down, and it makes me so comfortable, because sometimes I'll go into sessions with people I don't know, or we'll have a top liner in there, like another writer. It's just like a new environment, and even if I get along with the people just fine, I won't feel comfortable like getting that vulnerable or even sharing some of my ideas, because I feel like they're bad, and I get anxious, and I get in my head, I'm like, I don't think that this is even good enough for me to say out loud, and then I just don't write anything, and I like get embarrassed. Like that's happened to me a lot of times. So yeah.
What happens to that music though? Does it ever see the light of day, or do you just really hide it for forever?
No, I mean, sometimes I will go into a session and not even write anything and leave.
Damn.
Yeah, because I'm like, I'm sorry, I have nothing to write about, and it's just because I'm in my head.
Yeah, that's wild. Did you have those experiences during the process of this EP?
I had a few sessions here and there with people that weren't Daywave, and I had a couple of those moments where I left and didn't get anything, but I also had some good songs that I made with other people that might come out later. Yeah, it's a process. And also you can't pick and choose when you're going to feel creative and when you're going to be inspired. So sometimes you go into a session and you really don't have anything to say. And you're like, oh crap, I've been doing this. I've had this scheduled for however many months, and these people, we've been really excited to work together, and I'm bringing nothing to the table. And then that adds even more pressure, because then you're like, even if you do come up with something, then you're in your head thinking if it's good enough. And yeah, it happens a lot. So.
Talk to me a little bit about like the songs on this EP, and what really kickstarted the writing process of the EP. Was it a particular lyric? Was it a particular song that you have on it?
Well, so this EP and then the last EP that I released in June are kind of like a package deal a little bit. Like the first one is called Love and Limerence, and it's all my songs about like romantic love, and then this one's all my songs that are more like introspective and about like my mental health and just me, I guess.
Yeah.
And I started actually one of the songs on this EP I wrote like 2.5 years ago in Nashville in summer of 2022. And I love that song, and I just kind of always planned to put it out and just never found the right like project for it. And then I had worked for like an entire year with like a different producer, and that was kind of the stuff I put out in 2023, and I liked it, but it didn't feel as me as this stuff does. So I kind of put that on pause. And then when I met Jackson, Daywave, we made Blip. That was the first song we made together. And then Lower after that. And then I think All the Time. Okay. So 2 of the songs from the second EP, 1 from the first EP. Yeah. So that was kind of what kickstarted that. And then I just had this idea of I don't want to do a full album because doing an album takes a lot of time, and I've found that when I try to make an album, I will throw away songs that are older and I'll put new songs on that maybe aren't even as good just because they're fresher to me. Yeah. And the whole process, I don't know, can get a little bit confusing, and it's hard to be objective with yourself when you're creating an album, I found. So I was like, what can I do that's not like just one EP and I can kind of get it all out there, but I can separate it. So I that's when I came up with the idea to separate the 2 kind of subject matters, and then we just kept writing for it. And then the most recent song, or the newest song from the project, is the first one, Memory Lane. Yeah. I wrote that like 2 months ago. So, and I was like, perfect, let's throw it on, because I was like, I just need one more song that fits this narrative. And then
I love that that's the last song for this EP, but it's like the opener of the EP.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like I was saying, sometimes you like the new songs so much more. It's also the most like upbeat and like more lighthearted. The other ones are like really dark. So I figured opening up on a good note and making it like the focus track, and because it's my personal favorite right now, and also it's maybe a little bit more palatable for people that aren't severely depressed.
Yeah. I find myself going back and replaying Memory Lane and also All the Time. Those 2 I think are my favorite from this EP. But when I listened to All the Time for the first time, it took me back to, for some reason, to Hate You, Love You. And I don't know what it is that made me want to like go back to that song as well. Do you have any recollection of like was there any reason for me to maybe go back to that? Like, was there any, like, did you think about that song at all?
No, I can't say I think about that song a lot when I write. Just because, I mean, I wrote that song when I was 15, so that's almost 10 years. I turned 25 in like a week and a half. So, I was like 10 years ago. It's crazy. So.
But it's still a great track, though.
No, yeah, totally. I mean, it's my biggest song by miles and miles and miles. But my writing process has changed so much because I wasn't even a professional songwriter then. I was just like a girl in high school, and that's how I expressed my feelings. Yeah. So now when I write a song, it's a lot more, I mean, I am kind of reverting back to that now that I am writing the way that I am. Yeah. And it is getting more and more personal again. And I'm not thinking, especially, not being with a major label anymore, there's so much pressure off of me to make something that
you might not be happy with.
Like I used to go into sessions and my A&R would give notes to the producer, like no cuss words, upbeat, and like this kind of vibe, and they would not even tell me that they were saying that. And so I would sit there with the producer, and the producer would be like, so they told me that we're doing this today. I'm like, I didn't hear that. Like I have a song called Feelings. I wrote that song because I went into a session and they told me that the A&R told them no cuss words. And I was like, okay, well, I have the perfect song for you. So that pressure is all gone. And, maybe subconsciously I am reverting back to how I wrote when I was 15. I just didn't realize it, because now that you're saying that, it does make sense, because I am kind of, all the pressure's gone, and there was no pressure when I was 15. So
and I also noticed too that like that song, All the Time, when the first time I heard it, I felt like I wanted to sing along with you. And I know I felt that way also with Hate You, Love You. So I don't know, maybe that's what it is. Maybe I don't know. I just feel like I can just go out and join you on that mic.
And they both have like kind of more simple, like sing-songy kind of melodies that are, and a little bit repetitive, but not, I don't think in a bad way. Yeah. Totally. And also, I wrote both of them kind of I wrote all the lyrics and melodies like by myself, so maybe it's just my style. It's my signature.
What song would you say on this EP like really challenged you vocally?
I don't know if any of them were super vocally challenging because I am kind of in a place where like a lot of the songs I released 3 songs in 2023 that were just kind of random singles.
Yeah.
Those were really, really hard for me to sing. And that producer that I was working with would really push me to like do crazy things. And he was always like, you got it, you can do it. And I'm like, how am I going to ever do this live? And so I kind of was like, I don't need to be doing that. Like, I think I still sound good when I sing in my head voice and my chest voice and can not be belting and screaming. So I kind of stopped doing it. And now everything's fairly in my comfortable range. So maybe like on Paradoxymoron, there are background vocals in the hook where I am belting it, but then the lead is like me singing softly. So the belting was hard, but the rest of it,
But you don't have to worry about that one.
No, yeah, exactly. I don't have to sing that part. So yeah, I would say they're all pretty much not easy, but like normal.
Has breathy head voice like always been just your go-to? Like, is that where you always feel comfortable, or did it take some time to get to that point?
I was never really comfortable with my singing voice at all for a while. So I was actually I went wedding dress shopping with my sister. She's engaged this weekend, and we were talking about like just sibling dynamics at dinner with the family. And I was like, oh yeah, you know, she used to come into my room and tell me to shut up because I sounded like shit when I was singing. And so that's why I had my SoundCloud was like a secret, and I didn't want to tell anyone that I was a singer or that I sang because my sister was the singer.
She
of the
traumatized
family.
you.
Yeah, and she was really good. She's a really good singer too. She was in choir and she did all these things. And she always told me also, I used to like when I couldn't hit a note, like, you know, usually it's like a verse is here and then people go higher on the chorus. And I sang like a Kelly Clarkson song or something, and I went down when the chorus came, and she's like, you can't change the octave. And one of my biggest songs is my cover of Complicated by Avril Lavigne. And we went down the octave when I did
and it works.
When I did the hook. And I'm like, I brought that up to her. I was like, girl, you were so wrong. 400 million streams on Spotify. Like, anyway, but yeah, so I was never secure about my voice. I never thought I was good, and it took me a long time to even get there. And you can hear how different I sound, I think, as well. You know, after I already, you know, was a professional singer technically, I started taking lessons. I didn't even start taking lessons really for years. I took like a couple when I was maybe like 16, 17, and then I didn't start going regularly until I was probably like 21.
Wow.
And then I stopped, and then I went like last year for a little bit. So, you know, it's a whole process, and it's just about getting comfortable, I think. But it definitely took me a long time to get comfortable with my voice and to know what I'm even doing. Like, I don't even think I knew what a head voice was or how to safely belt. I don't even think I safely belt when I belt anyway, but yeah, so.
Did you think about that stuff though at all when you were writing this EP, or is it just a natural progression or a process and then whatever happens, happens?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll work with producers who, you know, will just start something and not even think about what key is good for me. A lot of times they'll ask and I'm like, I don't know what key is even good for me, but like we'll try something and I'm like, oh, maybe that's a little too high. Let's bring it down. Jackson kind of just knows what's good for me, I think. So we never even had any problems, really. Yeah. I mean, I think we had to bring stuff down a couple times. But yeah, when you work with someone that understands what sounds best for you and what's not going to, you know, kill you, it just kind of happens correctly, I think. Yeah.
Did he assist you also with the co-writing, or was that all completely you with the writing process?
I mean, technically, you know, producing is writing. Like, he's writing all the musical parts. So like, yes, he wrote, but like the words, the lyrics are pretty much all me. There are, you know, times when I'm like, is this corny or is this bad? Or like, do you know what word I should use here? Like that is similar to this word or whatever. So like, you know, he'll help with that. He's great with like, you know, bouncing ideas off of, but for the most part, he just lets me like do whatever.
Yeah. Well, lyrically, like which song would you say that was the one that like really challenged you to either start the writing process, finalize the track, or even just trying to find that bridge or melody?
You know, Memory Lane was actually tough because the original melody that I wrote was just like a little more boring for the hook. And then we listened to some like Imogen Heap, like Frou Frou songs. And we were like, what would she do? Like, what would she melodically? She just always does. I mean, she does like cool vocal flips, and she just goes to weird notes that you wouldn't expect, which I love. And then Jackson was just like, let's kind of change these 2 notes or change this note to this. And we just tried a bunch of things. And then we added that, like, it kind of sounds like a vocoder, which I also have on lower. And I think we added it a little bit to How Would I Know. It's just like a bunch of pedal harmonies. So I'm just doing like 1 note harmonies over the whole thing. And then I do a bunch of different notes and then it sounds like a vocoder, which is really fun. And that was Jackson's idea. Like, I would never think to do that. And now it's like my favorite thing to do. So yeah, that was kind of like a little puzzle melodically, just trying to make sure it was cool and not boring. So that one. And then lyrically, I think the toughest was probably Paradoxymoron. Not even in a way that it was really hard. It was just kind of also a puzzle in a way because I was coming up with just a bunch of paradoxes and oxymorons.
Yeah.
And it was just fun for me to I like when I have a very specific subject that I can kind of revert back to because you're writing a song, you can literally say anything, right? Yeah. So it helps to have a guideline. And the more specific the guideline is, honestly, the more fun it is because it is like a puzzle. You have to like, there's only so many things you can say and do. So you have to like put all the pieces together versus, I don't know, when the world is your oyster, it gets a little, it's a little too much sometimes. So.
But was it easy for you to talk about these topics? Was it something that like you kind of had to think twice before you started to record the song or say that the lyrics were done?
No, I felt so comfortable in these sessions that like it was just not even
I notice it.
Yeah, I could just say anything, and I didn't feel I never felt like I would, be judged or like it wasn't like it was too much. So that was really nice. And the one song that I didn't write with Jackson is How Would I Know? That's the one that I wrote in Nashville 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And even that session as well, like that was with this guy Gabe Simon. I only worked with him the one time because he's in Nashville, and I don't think I've gone back since then. But he's so amazing. I just was like in a really bad place mentally, and I just started talking, and he started writing down what I was saying on a notebook.
Therapist.
Yeah, it was amazing. He just was writing down all the words that I was saying. Like I talked about how I had my first existential crisis when I was 5 in a Jack and Jill bathroom. That's the first line of the song. So it was just really cool. It literally felt like a therapy session, which is how I think I get my best stuff. So that was really, really special as well. So all of these songs, regardless of whether or not they were made, with Jackson or with Gabe, it was just so personal and therapeutic and like I just felt very safe and comfortable.
Yeah. And it must feel amazing that not only did you get to release this EP, but also it's under your own label now, which, talk to me a little bit about that and being able to be an artist, but also be in charge of this now label.
Yeah. So it's through a distribution company called ADA. And I went with them because 2 of the amazing ladies that work there used to work on my project when I was at Island when I first signed when I was like 16, 17. So I just love them. They're amazing. And that felt like the right thing. And everyone there is just so amazing. And I can kind of do whatever I want, which is awesome. But I also do always say, like, I think everything in life is a double-edged sword. Like anything good, there's going to be a downside, like just literally to anything. And when you're with a major label, they're taking all of your money, but they're also putting that money into your project, and you have just so many resources and you feel like you're a part of this like system. And granted, being a part of that system can also be a negative sometimes. And then when you get out of that and you do have all the control, I'm like, okay, nobody's, making all my money. I get to make all the money from it, but I don't think anyone knows I'm putting out new music.
So there's this balance that you have to figure out.
Like, okay, so how do I let them know though? I posted a TikTok yesterday and it was like, I was getting so many comments like, oh my gosh, I had no idea you even have released music recently. Wow. I'm like, well, someone was like, you should really get some marketing. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, get some marketing. Like, okay, I'll go get my marketing degree. No, but I'm like, it's a different, like, how to navigate everything. It's just so different.
Yeah.
And there's even like playlisting things. Like when I was with my label, every single release you get New Music Friday.
Yeah.
I think I've got and since I went independent, I think like 2 songs total have gotten on New Music Friday. One of them was Memory Lane, not this Friday. So that was lovely. Very, very happy that happened. But, you have to you just have to work a little bit harder. And I think I knew that, but I didn't prepare myself for like the emotional, like, you know, consequences of that. So
I feel like these victories are gonna feel a lot better though.
well, that's the thing. Yeah. So any like just because I feel like I said the pressure is off of you know, feeling like I need to make music for anyone else, I feel like the compliments that I'm getting hit so much harder, and I'm actually able to take them in. And whenever I get messages, it just feels so much more genuine. And I don't know if if it is more genuine or if it's just I'm, you know, able to actually accept the compliments and the love now because I actually like what I'm doing fully and it feels like a full representation of me versus I'm not saying I don't like my old music. It just was a little convoluted. It was just like the
there's too many chefs in the kitchen.
Yeah, and I just was thinking, even if it was something that I wrote by myself, like I was thinking about other people the whole time, and I'm not doing that anymore. So it just feels way better to get any kind of praise.
Yeah, no, it's cool, and it's cool that you figure this out now and not sooner or not later in your career. But you know, I'm excited for this EP that's out now. I'm excited to see what's next for you as far as like maybe hopefully some tours, maybe some performances. But Olivia, thank you so much for hanging out with me. You guys be sure to check out Olivia O'Brien's new EP. It's called Everywhere I Go, There I Am. And thanks for watching here on Front Row Live.